All right, if you've been a Canes fan for a while, you probably recognize this face. It's Kevin Weeks. He also used to play for the Carolina Hurricanes, and he's an NHL analyst right now, back to talk about the Carolina Hurricanes during the segment. How's it feel to be back in Raleigh, especially during this type of time where the Canes could possibly win a Stanley Cup championship?
Amazing. It feels amazing. No, it's great to be back. It's always good. I got into a couple games during the regular season that I had to do for ESPN down here. Of course, during the Stanley Cup Final, I'm here with the NHL Network and ESPN. So it's great, man. It's always great being back down here. I love my time here. I was just telling my driver on the way over, for a lot of the people that are more experienced that you're alluding to, that could remember when I played here. I played in Greensboro, too, in the American League for 2 years. So I lived in Greensboro, was here in Raleigh, loved the area, feels like home, always loved living and playing here, and it's always great to be back. And more importantly, I'm really happy for the fans, for the Caniacs, and for my man Roddy Brindamore and the crew that they're doing as well as they are.
Yeah, they've come a long way since the early 2000s. Obviously, Rod Brindamore has now shaped the identity of this franchise. But we're talking to a national analyst, and the national narrative out there is that the Canes are boring.
Yeah.
What do you say to that take?
Well, I mean, I don't know what they're watching, but they're not watching the same games that I'm watching. They're anything but boring. They're exciting. They're entertaining. They play up tempo. They're fast. They press you. And they force opposing teams to play a game that's faster than they want to play. And they've usually put opposing teams under duress, as they did at Vegas in the first period. They had a great first period in game one. Let's see if they can sustain that. But for me, I was always a big believer that results speak for themselves.
Yeah.
And, it's easy for some people to get in narratives that are inaccurate or that are inconvenient. But as a former goalie, I only deal with the facts. And the facts are this franchise has been blazing since Roddy's come back as head coach. He's done a great job.
So in preparation for this interview, I wanted to find out more facts about you.
Yeah.
And I did find out the Greensboro part. I'm from Greensboro.
Nice.
And so I went to Carolina. I went to Carolina Monarchs games.
Yes.
So more than likely, I saw you as a kid.
Yes.
And also, I found out you worked for the Greensboro News and Record for a little bit, doing columns. That was my first job.
Oh, no way.
So we have a little bit in common.
Circle right
So
there.
yeah, I wanted to ask
circle.
you a little bit more about your time in Greensboro.
Yeah.
There and then coming back here. Like, what was your time in North Carolina like?
Amazing.
And like, what did you like in Greensboro?
Well, I'll tell you. Okay, so that was my first year pro. So I came out of junior playing in Canada, and I was in Greensboro. But I remember actually even prior to that, flying down, going to Hendrick BMW in Charlotte, buying a car, buying a BMW, but it was standard. I couldn't even drive it. And I drove it from Charlotte out of the dealership all the way back to Toronto, and then drove back to Greensboro for the start of the season.
Jeez.
So that's where it all started. But playing at the Coliseum was amazing. The fans were great. We had a lot of us that went on to play in the NHL, of course. Just being around Greensboro, the restaurants were cool. Spent a lot of time around A&T and some other things, and had some good friends down there. JP Looney's was a sports bar at the time we used to go to. So that's why when I got traded to the Canes, it felt natural.
Yeah.
Just to come here and play for the Carolina Hurricanes. It all felt natural based on my time in Greensboro.
What was it like getting your number called in the Stanley Cup playoffs as a backup goalie at the time? And we've got one right now, Brendan Bussey, that took the Canes here, but is taking a backup seat, but you never know when that number's going to be called.
It was amazing just because I'd known Paul Maurice from junior in Ontario, and I knew Jim Rutherford, who was our general manager. Paul Maurice was our head coach, my favorite head coach that I ever played for. So it felt very natural. They knew me since I was a teenager playing against their teams in junior. It was a natural fit. They traded for me. I felt comfortable here. The guys in the dressing room were amazing. Rod Brindamore, Sean Hill, my guy Chip Tracy on the TV, all the trainers, Huff, the video coach, Huffline, who was our video coach with the Monarchs.
Yeah.
So everything just felt familiar. It just felt like home to me. And I just felt like that transition was very natural off the ice, which made me feel more comfortable on the ice. And then
So, Kevin, when you go upstairs into the fifth floor up there where the media is always at, they have all those pictures of all of the rosters with the Carolina Hurricanes and also going back to the Hartford Whalers. And one of the things I noticed is you're one of the first Black men to play for the Canes. There was a couple before you, but you also are the first goalie. And I just wanted to ask about that, the representation, not only playing hockey, but also in the media space, because really when it comes to the national scene, it's you and PK Subban. What do you see as far as, representation in hockey? And what do we need to do to have more representation in hockey when it comes to have more diverse voices?
Great question. I would say, I think a lot of it always goes back to the area that you grew up in and who the people were or that were around you and who was of influence. I was lucky growing up in Toronto because it's so diverse. And, there's so many different backgrounds of kids that I went to school with, guys I played minor hockey with who were like me. Their parents are Caribbean, they're Italian, they're Scottish, they're Greek, they're Portuguese. they're Russian Jewish, they're white. We literally had like it all across the board growing up, which was really cool. So a lot of my minor hockey teams are like that, my youth teams, but also for a lot of us whose parents had just emigrated to the country, and it's in North America, it was cool because we were all kind of learning the game at the same time in a different way. You got somebody whose parents just came from Belfast, Ireland. They're used to playing soccer. My parents are from Barbados. They're used to playing cricket or soccer. So now your kids happen to be playing hockey. You better get into it because we're playing.
Yeah.
That's kind of the way it went. And I think what was really cool is there's some guys that came before me that played on other teams, some other goalies, the great Grant Fuhrer, Freddie Brathwaite, some other black goalies, and other goalies of color and other goalies in general. And then there were other players too. But what was really cool and what's really cool about it is this is what we were passionate about. This is what I was passionate about. And regardless as to what it is, that's positive, by the way, that you're passionate about, you got to pursue those passions.
Yeah.
You have to, invest in yourself to try to accomplish those dreams and goals. And a lot of people wouldn't know this, but even though I grew up in Toronto and I played hockey, my North Star is the guy here from Wilmington, number 23. That was my guy growing up. That was my guy.
Yeah.
So that's what I was telling you, coming here and then playing in Greensboro and then meeting his guy, Fred Whitfield, from here.
Oh, Fred is
and
my
then
guy.
meeting Fred.
Yeah.
As a 19-year-old, I met Fred. He's like, M is my guy. Then getting to meet him and then kind of getting in that circle, it just became full circle. It's just that they were doing it in the hoop space. I was trying to do it in the hockey space. And it's been really cool. And then as far as the broadcasting, it's humbling because I was the first black broadcaster in NHL history as an analyst. So that was humbling. But we've had PK, as you mentioned, some others, Anson, Carter, and then we have some other on the local team side, Jean-Luc Grandpierre and Columbus, among others. So, it's been humbling. But to me, it's all about the passion for the game or the passion for what you love doing. And this is just another extension. My parents told me a long time ago, they're like, you can't play forever.
Yeah.
I played for 14 years. It's a long time professionally. 11 in the league, 14 in pro, those 2 in Greensboro, and then 2 in the IHL. So right after, TV networks were calling. And they're like, hey, would you be interested? NBC at the time, MSG New York, Hockey Night in Canada, the NHL Network, who I'm with now 17 years. And I was just kind of weighing it out. And I decided that, I want to pivot and start broadcasting. And that's how it went.
If you don't mind me,
go ahead.
I
Go
wanted
ahead,
to ask
Go
you
ahead.
about how your time writing columns for the Greensboro News and Record helped prepare you for your time in broadcasting, and what other broadcasting, practice have you had before that, other
That's great.
than writing columns for the Greensboro News and Record?
Well, I'll tell you, okay, so what was interesting about that is, as a young player, even prior to that, but that was my first year professional, as a young player, when the media came in, I would always be cordial. I'd do my interviews as we're doing now and have that type of experience. The writing part of it helped me because it allowed me to see the game through a different lens. Because as a player, I see it through the lens being out there in the net, or if I'm on the bench or what have you. But then that initial kind of writing allowed me to see the game through a different lens, process it, and try to combine my vision as a goalie, which you see 95% of the game in front of you, with kind of a writer's perspective, and then in a way that the fan would be able to digest. So that was really helpful. I found it kind of formative. And with that, in addition to that, as years went on, any opportunity that was there, I don't want to do that. I would lean into whatever the opportunities were. So those were, in essence, my type of training. I didn't go to traditional broadcast journalism school. And when I started broadcasting, guys, I was juggling like Curious George. You remember Curious George? Everyone books as their kids.
Kids were still running
we
them
did too. So Curious George always got his hands up, his legs up, and there's like 5 plates. He's spinning the plates in some of the stories. That's what it felt like and what it feels like in my broadcast career. Right from then to when it became kind of formalized, I was on Hockey Night in Canada. Let me take it back. NHL Network, Monday night, Tuesday night, Wednesday night, Thursday night. As an analyst, sometimes then between the benches, then sometimes calling the game, doing color, then doing different roles. Then I do the after-hours show with Scott Oak. Then fly, do the West Coast game, Hockey Night in Canada. Weekend, do that. Come back Monday, back to Toronto, do it all over again. So my route was pretty unconventional, but it was all about being open, and that was one of the formative kind of experiences I had at the News and Record in what then became my broadcast career, my second career, if you will.
Well, that leads into my question, which is you're a newsbreaker too. It's all about Curious George juggling all those balls. You don't see a lot of former players get into that space as well. I imagine it just organically happened because of how many people you know in the industry.
Yeah. So, okay, that's another great. So what happened was, for years prior to me doing it, I would have information, but I always prioritize relationships over like a moment, you know? because a lot of relationships are enduring. So whether it's a trainer that I've known, whether it's the Huffy here, the video coach we had in Greensboro, whether it's Roddy, whether it's Tripp, whether it's whoever, those are long, decade, 30-year relationships in some cases. Some guys I've been friends with in hockey for like 42 years. I'm 51.
Wow.
So
Wow.
it's not everything that I disclose, but what I can or what I choose to disclose without compromising confidences and relationships, I'll do it. But it was all kind of born out of frustration too, because there are instances where I would tell people, I'm like, hey, I have some information. And then I would get pushback. I'm like, hey, no, I have information. And I get pushback. And my wife's a global CMO, chief marketing officer. And she's like, okay, listen, just do it yourself. Just do it on Twitter. Just try it on Twitter. And then I tried it, and then fans were all over me because I had my camera. My head was jacked up. It was like a selfie gone wrong. And then people were like, Weeks, you can't use the camera. Don't you know how to take a picture? And then from there, it just kind of took a life of its own.
Yeah.
So, but now we have two young kids. We got a daughter, Irie, who's 8 months. And then we have a son, Princeton, who's like 3.5. So I can't chase the info as much as I was doing. So I kind of pared back on that a little bit. But it's fun to be able to break stories when they come about. It's fun to be able to break news when I can. It's fun. I enjoy that. I enjoy it. But you're right. I am the only former player in major pro sports that does that.
I would say my final question is, when you come back to North Carolina, since we found out all the ties here, is there one place that you always have to go? Is it Cookout? Is it Bojangles?
Cookout.
You have to go back to...
Stop.
already got it.
Don't get hot water now. That's it. It's not just Cookout. It's not just... I'm just going to leave it at Cookout because I know there are people watching this that are going to be blowing my phone up and like, Cookout, yeah, we know what you... So I'm chilling. I'm not going to say what it is, but it does involve a burger or two and a shake. So or two, depending. Yeah. But hey, listen, man, I'm slimming down. I'm back in the suit.
The suits get tight, right?
Yo, I haven't worn this suit in like 9 years. So when I was ironing it today, it was kind of one of those, I don't know. But now I'm on the right track. I'm back on the right track. So Cookout, though, among others, there's so many. Like I love my barbecue. I love whatever. I love Sullivan's. I'm a foodie, but on my new program, I got to kind of like pick my spots a little bit, but Cookout off the top for sure.
Maybe in October we can get you back to A&T's homecoming.
That would be amazing. That would be amazing. That'd be so fun. You want to talk about full circle? Yeah, that'd be so fun, guys. Yeah.
And you're staying at the same hotel he stayed at as a player here. Still remembers his room number.
I do.
Kevin Weeks, welcome back to Raleigh.
Thank you so much. God bless you guys. Thanks to the Caniacs, too.